Imagine living your entire life inside a room temperature water glass. You are peering out through curved, cloudy plastic at a distorted world, hovering in stagnant water that you can barely turn around in. Physically, the environment forces your body to shut down. Your fins clamp tightly to your sides to conserve energy. You hover near the surface, entirely lethargic, slowly poisoned by the very water you're suspended in. A persistent retail illusion has marketed these animals as the ultimate desktop accessory. This narrative suggests that a betta lives its best life in a tiny, unheated, decorative vase. Since the cup forces the fish into a state of sheer biological survival, we must look closer at what this animal actually requires to thrive. Treating the betta as a decorative object ignores its physiological needs. The industry has mistaken a state of slow suffocation for a state of low maintenance. To understand the betta, we have to leave the sterile pet store shelf and look at their true origins in Southeast Asia. They come from the warm, expansive waters of terraced rice paddies and slow-moving streams in Thailand and Cambodia. The Betta splendens species has a rich history and a wide range of physiological diversity. These are intelligent, highly territorial fish with specific anatomical traits tailored to their native environment. Their most unique feature is a biological adaptation called the labyrinth organ. This specialized tissue allows them to physically gulp atmospheric air directly from the surface of the water. In the wild, when the dry season hits and oxygen levels in the water plummet, the labyrinth organ kicks in. It is an emergency fallback system that keeps the fish alive in stagnant pools until the rains return. This organ is a marvel of evolutionary resilience. But weaponizing this survival trait to justify a cup forces the animal into a permanent, stressful crisis mode. To pull a betta out of that survival state, we have to start with one absolute rule. Their environment needs a volume of at least 5 gallons. Here is the biological reality of a small container. Fish produce waste, and in a tiny cup, that waste rapidly breaks down into toxic ammonia. Within days, the fish is swimming in a concentrated cloud of its own poison. But watch what happens when we expand that volume to 5 gallons. Through the basic scientific principle of dilution, that exact same amount of waste dissipates. The water chemistry stabilizes. With that extra space, you also make room for the nitrogen cycle. This is a microscopic ecosystem of beneficial bacteria that colonizes the gravel and the filter of a proper tank. These bacterial colonies act as a natural waste management plant. They consume the toxic ammonia and convert it into a much safer byproduct called nitrates. You then remove those manageable nitrates with a quick, routine water change once a week. The 5-gallon standard establishes the minimum volume required to sustain a self-regulating, life-saving chemical ecosystem. We also have to account for their cold-blooded nature. Coming from the tropics of Southeast Asia, bettas require constant, reliable heat. Their bodies operate efficiently only between 78 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit. If the water drops to a standard room temperature of 70 degrees, their metabolism crashes, their immune system suppresses, leaving them highly vulnerable to disease. This means an adjustable, submersible aquarium heater is completely non-negotiable. You dial in the specific climate, and the equipment maintains it year-round. Then there is the issue of water movement. Bettas require clean water, but those massive, flowing fins create a high amount of drag, making them poor swimmers. A powerful filter will blow them across the tank, forcing them to swim constantly just to stay upright. They need a gentle flow, a baffled filter that mechanically cleans the tank without creating a stressful, exhausting current. By introducing stable heat and gentle filtration, you eliminate the invisible stressors of cold and current. The fish can finally stop spending its calories on survival and start spending them on growth. When you take a betta out of a cup and release it into a fully cycled, heated, 5-gallon planted tank, the change is immediate. The fins that were clamped tightly shut finally unfurl. The dull, muted colors ignite into vibrant, iridescent rants and blues as the stress leaves their body. They begin to explore. They patrol the broad leaves, investigate every corner, and actively claim their territory. You get to see the curious, intelligent animal that was hiding inside that plastic container. Building this micro-ecosystem is highly accessible today. Many modern, all-in-one 5-gallon kits are engineered specifically with these scientific parameters in mind, balancing volume, flow, and temperature. Keeping an aquarium is a commitment to curating a living world. Transitioning an animal from a puddle to a kingdom is one of the most rewarding acts in the aquatic hobby.